Hello, I'm Zababaz, and welcome to Palindrome ASMR. I haven't been uploading regular ASMR videos lately because I don't know. It's a little bit of psychology, actually. It's a little bit of psychology because my numbers are finally starting to pick up. And I've noticed when my numbers really pick up, I lose the urge to make a video. And that is psychology, because when people succeed, it is psychological for them to sabotage themselves. It is usual for people, when they succeed, to want to sabotage themselves. Different people do it in different manners. You can see this in the antics of celebrities. I don't think there is a celebrity who is scam-free, but most of them who aren't probably just sabotage themselves in ways that aren't visible to the public. But the reason why I think it is my opinion based off of psychological facts that I have learned that celebrities have such twisted lives because they are sabotaging themselves as punishment for succeeding. But I am not a psychologist, so I actually don't really know. If you notice the fan's running, I leave it running because I personally enjoy the sound of fan running. I don't know about you guys, but when I sleep, I have to have a fan running. Fan death. So if you know about fan death, in Korea, fans are designed to turn off after 30 minutes of continuous use. Because they have an urban legend that is very popular. It's like how elevators don't have 13 here in the US. Fan death is this purported death that happens when you leave a fan on and sleep with the fan on. And the Korean populace has this theory, this cultural myth, that if you sleep with a fan on and leave it on, you have a risk, there is a risk that you may die. And so fans are designed to turn off after 30 minutes of prolonged use. Interesting fact. I bet you didn't know that. You tell me, should I leave the fan on when I make my videos? Or should I leave the fan on when I make my videos? Or should I turn it off? This is a different fan. Normally the heater is on, it's over there, and so it's not as loud. And this fan, it's kind of hot in here. And so I don't know if I should be putting this fan on, but you tell me. Should I deal with the heat, or should I turn the fan on and call it part of the video? You tell me. So recently, I've been lurking around Wattpad. Not really lurking, I've been interacting, but Wattpad is a site for amateur writers. And that is what it is for. Amateur writers. I don't think there is one writer who, well, there are a couple of professional writers who put their works on Wattpad, but there are very few and very numbered. And the kind of stuff that gets popular on Wattpad is cliche fiction. Stuff that's cliche and very poorly written. I mean, when I say poorly written, I mean written by, like, middle schoolers. Because that's usually the level, the audience of Wattpad is middle schoolers. That's just it. Middle schoolers and to some extent high schoolers. And by audience, I mean audience and writers. It is not so much a writing platform as it is a social media outlet where people post their I don't want to say crap content, but it's not crap, really. Some of these popular reads have compelling stories despite their, let's say, lacking syntax. They're lacking ability to formulate flowing, prosaic prose. But, that's just the criticism I have as a higher level writer. I'd think most of the people on Wattpad don't even notice these poor grammatical choices made by the writers. I mean, I'd think this is elementary, but I'd say about 70% of the popular stuff on Wattpad, not just the unpopular stuff, the popular stuff has trouble keeping their tenses straight. They'll use the first person, not the first person, sorry. They'll use the past tense, and then they'll just switch into. I'm gonna turn this fan off. Yeah, okay. Anyways, I apologize for that. I thought it would be a good idea to leave the fan on because it would allow me to have a sort of white noise in the background, but that doesn't work. That fan, that air conditioner is a little bit too, it's not letting me utilize my voice fry in the most effective manner. Oh, I'll tell you now, I've been thinking about this. The difference between use and utilize. You use a hammer. You utilize blueprints. Let me explain the difference there. Use has a more direct, physical connotation. You use good grammar. You utilize syntax. The difference here is that use has a more direct, down-to-earth connotation. If there is a direct connection between what you do and the end product, you use it. If there is an indirect connection between what you utilize and the end product, you utilize it. So let's think of some more examples. You use a pen. And in this case, you would utilize good grammar, because the end product is not the writing, it is the essay, the physical copy. If it is a ephemeral thing, if it is the idea of the essay, you use good grammar. But if it is the actual essay, the written paper essay, you would utilize good grammar and use a pen. The pen is the primary product, the primary tool. Grammar is a secondary tool, a tertiary tool. And that is the difference between use and utilize. And so when people use utilize and say you utilized the hammer, it implies through connotation that the hammer was not primary in the construction of whatever end product happens. So when you utilize a hammer, a case where you would utilize a hammer would be if you were to put a hammer in a Rube Goldberg machine, and the hammer was a part of this machine, and the effect of the machine is your end product, not the machine itself, then you would be utilizing a hammer. Here's another interesting fact I've thought of. You know that thing that happens when you say a word so often it stops being a word? Have you ever noticed that only happens once for a certain word? Once you say a word so often it doesn't become a word, you never have that effect with that word again. Let's try it. Watcher, 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 watcher. Watcher, 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 watcher. Watcher, 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 watcher. I've achieved that effect. Watcher. It is no longer a word to me. Now, I will never have that word effect with the word watcher ever again. Door, 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 door. I once had this effect with the word door. And thanks to that, I'm immunized. Immunized, I think that's how you pronounce it. Immunized to the effect on the word door. And now I'm getting to the meat of this video, which is more than halfway in. But you know what? I'll plug my book. I'll spend a whole video plugging my book later. But I was reading my own book, and it was so hilarious that I upset my parents with the amount of laughing I was doing. Which isn't that difficult. I mean, my parents get upset when I laugh just a little. But they called it an inappropriate amount of laughter. My stepfather has this thing about me laughing. He doesn't like it. And I kind of pissed him off by laughing so much at my own book. It was hilarious. Let me give you an example of one of the funny moments of the book. This wasn't the funniest moment. This was just one of the funny moments. And it's easiest to tell because it's a funny situation. So my character is given the ability to create his imagination. If he has seen an object before, any object, he can create, at no cost, any number of those objects. So let's give an example. He sees a tank, and at the request of the military, creates 20,000 of those tanks. Now this may seem like a crazy, powerful ability, but it's actually not that useful to him, and he does get in some tense situations because he's fighting AI Stalin, interdimensional AI Skynet Stalin, who has an army of communist space orcs summoned from the depths of Mordor with nukes. So, his enemy is kind of powerful. So what happens is he is being chased in an RV by helicopters, and they are shooting at him. And it is very visceral, and it's happening. And so what he comes up with as a defense is to summon 100 identical RVs all traveling at the same speed he's traveling. And these RVs sort of appear, some of them appear in midair, some of them appear in the water, and there are hundreds of RVs just flinging all over the place while these helicopters are shooting and going pow, 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 pow. And the RVs are everywhere, and they're exploding, and they're flying all over the place and crashing into each other, and it's just hilarious. You have to see it to believe it. It's not a joke. Like, while it is funny, the funny part is that it is completely serious. In the framework of the book, this is a completely serious event where his life is in danger, and there are hundreds of RVs just bouncing all over the place going vroom. He gets through it. It's a book. Of course he gets through it. Whoa. I'm getting a serious sense of vertigo here. For some reason, I just suddenly got a serious sense of vertigo. This could mean something bad, or it could be completely innocuous. Could be related to my illness, or it could just be the fact that I'm eating something when I am not hungry. I feel the blood rushing through my head. And I am floating. I'm getting a very psychedelic feeling right now, though I have never done psychedelics, so I don't know what that feels like. Whoa, I feel kind of floaty, kind of airy. And this is the best part about eating ramen raw, is that you sort of the little sand, the ramen sand that comes with ramen, and you eat it raw because you've already eaten the main course. In case you are wondering, that's the ASMR part of this video. Me eating the ramen. I'm still feeling vertigo. Vertiginous? How do you, describe someone who is feeling vertigo? Are they vertiginous? Have you described someone who is in pain? They are in pain. Who is experiencing pain? They are in pain. If you describe someone who is feeling happy, they are happy. How about someone who is experiencing vertigo? Vertiginous? Vertigo? I think vertiginous is the word. How do you describe someone who is feeling vertigo without saying experiencing vertigo? Vertiging? Vertical? Vertical? Why don't you vertigo? 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 Freddy, don't you vertigo? I don't know, I'm just trying to make this video 20 minutes long. So read my book, Mac. It'll be in the description. You can read it completely free on Wattpad.com. All you have to do is make an account. And you can do that with Facebook. And just read my book and see for yourself how hilarious it is. It is freaking hilarious. It's hilarious. If you aren't It's about a McDonald's restaurant that turns into a giant robot and fights interdimensional space aliens, space orcs, and space aliens. And there's a wizard that loves tacos, and there's a that's the only really interesting character. All the other characters are just part-time fast food workers who are also military cadets in a giant robot. And the main characters are Max, Miggs, and October Autumn, who get together in the very first lines of the book and stay together for the whole book. And I have to say, when I was reading it, I was actually kind of impressed by the maturity with which I handled their romance. There's no sex scenes. Not even a kiss. So it's okay on that front. But, yeah. Why don't you check it out? That's all. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.